Okay, so hey guys, welcome back to another Access 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview. I'm here with the one and only Matt Lenihan. Matt, how are we doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on, pal. I was a bit surprised when I got the message, but yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Like I always say, any kind of interview which I've had on the channel, it is always a pleasure to see their perspective of things and get their view on things.
Yeah, no dramas. Ask away, bud. All it is.
Lovely stuff. So we're going to start with quite a generic question, but one which I always like to start off with, and that is, what kind of got you into boxing?
The main sort of thing was, I remember being in school. I can't remember how old. It must have been like 14, 15. I saw like a promo video of Floyd Mayweather with Ricky Hatton for their fight, and I was just attracted to, like, the promo was a good promo. There was a series called 24/7 at the time on HBO, and it was basically Floyd just trashing Hatton, and I just couldn't believe what this guy was saying. And then I watched the whole build up, watched everything, the build up, the fight, and then I was hooked from there. I ended up buying like Floyd's career up to that point at the time on DVD, and yeah, just fell in love with it all. And then just started getting into it a bit more seriously, like 2.5, 3 years ago, just before the pandemic hit. Diving into the media stuff, and yeah, it's gone from there really. But
Of course, and I suppose maybe being able to watch boxing would have been a little bit different back when that was the Mayweather Hatton time. I mean, for me, I've always known boxing as something which you've got to pay for, but for you, it must have been a little bit something different.
yeah, it was different, but I never really took much interest. I didn't know how to score a fight at that point. Didn't know much at all about boxing. You still learn even now, but yeah, I didn't know much about it. Just that there was this rivalry building, and ended up watching it. And then after that, you watch another, and you sort of get an idea of it. But yeah, that was the big sort of point that got me into it. So if that fight had never happened, I definitely wouldn't be doing sort of what I'm doing now, I don't think.
Wow, that's great to hear. And of course, I mean, now you're with Boxing Social, and so what kind of is the story behind you getting to working with them?
Getting to work with what? Boxing Social?
Yes.
Yeah, you cut out then, sorry. I started my own channel. I tried to do my own thing. And then I realised I wanted to move a bit quicker. So made some contacts. I started working at Behind the Gloves for Michelle. She really gave me my first big opportunity. Didn't have as many contacts in the game, but she was kind enough to give me that break that I needed, and she was brilliant. So I did some time there with Michelle, but I also had a full-time job at the same time. But then I got offered a job working full-time for Into Boxing, and then December last year, it was like a transition over kind of thing. So that's how it happened, really. But yeah, got like my foot in the door with Michelle. She's the one who gave me an opportunity. So yeah, kind of grateful to her, because she helped get the ball rolling for me. So yeah.
Of course, and now, of course, you're doing very well for yourself. And so, for anybody like myself who is coming up, what kind of advice would you give to them?
Just because you see good pictures on Instagram and stuff like that, doesn't mean that there's not a lot of hard work behind it. You've got to accept that you have a lot of time away from home. You got to accept that you might have to work till 4 a.m. quite a lot of the nights of the week, especially if you're away on fight week. It's not a free ticket to a fight. There's a lot of work that goes behind it, depending on what you want to do. But yeah, it's a brilliant position to be in. So if you really want it, and that's what you really want, I'd say yeah, absolutely go for it. But just be prepared to. You've got to be on it like all the time. There's not a day, even when you have your days off. They're not really days off. Well, there's news that always comes in. Interviews that need arranging. So much happening all the time. But if you love boxing, then if you love it that much, then it wouldn't really be a job. But yeah, there's a lot of hard work that has to go into it. You can't just think, oh, I've been accredited, so I get to go see the fight. It's not like that. It is, I've got a job to do kind of thing. But if you enjoy it, it's great. And yeah, I love it. So I'd just say, just be prepared to work really, really hard, because there's a lot of people now that want to do it as well. It's changed from way back in the day, and I suppose I'm still classed as somewhat new but been doing it a few years now, and yeah, there's loads of people wanting to do it. So yeah, just to work really hard and find your own sort of niche or your market or style or something like that. That's what I'd say.
That's brilliant. No, I appreciate that, man. And so I suppose when you are having these difficult days and you are working quite hard, what would you say is something that can stop you from getting burnt out?
Stopping what? Sorry, you keep putting out.
Getting burnt out or from not being able to want to carry on.
Nah, you've got to. That's what I mean when I say you've got to love it, because there's times where you're going to get frustrated where connection for internet, like Wi-Fi, if you're somewhere where it's terrible Wi-Fi, you've got a lot of stuff to upload. That can be a bugbear. But yeah, if you love it, you won't really get burnt out. But like I said, I'm only speaking through 2.5 years experience, maybe 3. I can't remember how long it is. I'm not. Some of these guys have been doing it 10 plus years. Some of the originals who started doing all the whole YouTube game, so maybe they'll have a different story. But yeah, for me, I'm only just sort of getting started, kind of thing. You just got to, if it's a job for you, then you will get burnt out, I think. But so you've really got to enjoy it.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, now you have been to some brilliant shows. And so, which one, if you could choose a favourite, which one would you say is your favourite?
What, the favourite fight I've covered, or like event or place? What were you talking about, the fight as well?
We'll go for the fight. Yeah.
The best fight I've seen live was there's 2 really. So there's one I went to as a fan. I went to Wilder Fury 1, where he obviously gets up. I went there as a fan. But one of the best fights I've seen live was Lee Wood, Michael Conlan. Yeah. That was still probably now one of the best fights I've ever seen. It had everything. So I would say that in terms of a fight.
Yeah, definitely. That was an amazing fight as well as the Wilder Fury one, of course. And so if you could possibly, I mean, like you said, you've been doing it for a few years now, but you still kind of rank yourself as one of the up-and-comers. And so I suppose to an extent maybe, but either way, if you could possibly say one name that you haven't yet interviewed, who would you love to interview?
One-on-one, probably be Gervonta Davis. I've not had him one-on-one yet. Or not even asked a question at a press conference just because they didn't get round to me. So, but yeah, he would be someone who I think he's a terrific fighter, pay-per-view star. But yeah, I've not managed yet to get him down. So I would say, like to him, Errol Spence, touch wood, I'll have a chance to do that in a month's time. The big fight coming up. Yeah, either of those 2 guys really. And obviously, I'd love some time with Floyd Mayweather one-on-one. But I've had opportunities to ask him questions and things like that. So I sort of feel like there's been a bit of a box ticked there. But no, I would say Gervonta Davis definitely.
Yeah, of course, a huge name, of course. And so, I mean, you have travelled to quite a few different countries to do this interview work. And so, which country was your favourite to go to an event to?
Vegas, I think, is my favourite place. Definitely, it's just got such a big fight feel. You'd know, like I say, when you ever go, you'll just know. I've just recently done New York for the first time. MSG at the in the theatre arena, that was good. Like you said, Saudi and stuff like that. But I would still say Vegas is probably my favourite place, and actually low key as well. But not many will say it. Belfast. Believable city for a fight. The atmosphere that's created in that city is probably the best I've seen. Probably, if I'm honest.
No, yeah, that seemed brilliant. And I mean, I've seen a few of your Instagram posts. I've been following you on Instagram for a little while now, and it seems like you do get some nice places and you get some very good Instagram photos, mate. And so I suppose we'll just to move on to maybe some more boxing topics. I don't know how much you can really speak about certain topics, but either way, if you could possibly give your thoughts on this up-and-coming Errol Spence-Terence Crawford fight.
Yeah, I won't give you any predictions, but I just think it's a great fight. You've one guy who's climbed the divisions for years in Terence Crawford, who's beaten a lot of very good champions, but obviously moving up, and you've got Errol, who's been the king of one division for a long time since he beat Kell Brook all them years ago. So I think it's a terrific fight, a genuine 50-50. There's an argument to say both could win this fight in any manner. I think genuinely any manner, and nothing would surprise me. But I'm just glad we're getting to see it now instead of another 3 years down the line. They are in the 30s, but Crawford's on a terrific run of form. Doesn't look like he's slowing down. Errol had the car accident, but he's since then come back and beaten like Danny Garcia. Ugas shows that he's still the man in the division. So get these two together and see what happens. And, you know, best man will win on the night, but I couldn't tell you definitely like who would win this fight, and that's what makes it a good fight. It's the best fight in boxing that's been made.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course, and yes, and so I mean, so far this year it has been in my opinion, a very good year for boxing in the way of fights being made and everything like that. And saying if the Saudi tournament everybody's talking about does end up happening at the end of the year, does this year have the kind of making to be possibly the best year of the decade already?
It will definitely be up there, but that depends on whether all the fights will get made. Still question marks, I think, over Usyk Fury, whether that'll get made. Usyk's got a Daniel Dubois problem. You got to hope he comes through that for the tournament to happen. Dillian White and Anthony Joshua are in talks. Eddie Hearn's alluded to that already. There's a lot of moving parts. This could all be scrapped in the space of a couple of months if results don't go the way that people in Saudi want. So we'll have to see. I'm not convinced it all happens. I think we might get to see one of them fights. I don't know about all of them. But either way, let's just see. Hopefully we do. So if we get what we all want in December, then it'll have been a great year for boxing.
Of course. And I mean, recently, not to maybe trust too much of what Fury's been saying as of recent, but the most recent thing he said is that he got an offer from the UFC to fight John Jones. Do you think that is real and what happened?
What did you say? Sorry, you missed the last bit.
So do you think that is a real offer, and do you think that is going to happen?
I think it's an offer. I'm not sure it happens.
Okay.
I'm only interested in seeing Tyson fight purely against either Usyk, Wilder, Joshua, and that's it at the minute. Even Zile Zhang, I'd be interested in that. Andy Ruiz, either one of them fights. I don't know about the crossover hybrid stuff, just because I'm just not sure about it. I think if they fight in a boxing ring, I think we all know what happens. If they fight in an MMA scenario, I think we all know what happens. It's the same from everyone across the board, I think, really.
Yeah, no.
In my
no, I totally agree, of course. And so just to move on to Conor Benn as a fighter, of course I'm not going to touch too much upon the kind of logistical side of things because I'm sure you probably don't want to too much, but either way there's been talks of him possibly September time getting a fight with Eubank Jr. And do you think this might be finally the time we get to see that fight?
I think it'll probably happen at some point, yeah. I think we're just waiting now to find out what the end sort of result is of everything that's gone on, but there's a lot of money involved, so it'll always happen. But can't really comment because I don't really know what the outcome will be from what UCAD will come back with. But that was just like a pending, so we'll see. But yeah, I think my head and heart say probably the fight does happen.
Okay, good to hear, hopefully. And so I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Is there anything you'd personally like to shout out?
So shout out? No, just obviously thanks for watching some of the interviews. You've mentioned that you've watched a few other stuff and that you follow the page. So yeah, just keep following, keep supporting, and likewise, good luck with your channel and whatever you're trying to do with it. But yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much, mate. It has been a pleasure today. And so if you are new around here and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do need like video. And thanks for watching.